Joseph Murphy spent decades teaching that financial prosperity is not the result of chance, but determined by the dominant vibrational frequency that someone builds in their inner world. When Murphy analyzed families that lived with prolonged monetary difficulties, he observed a surprising and alarming pattern. These families bore, without recognizing it, a vibrational field of insufficiency that maintained itself through successive generations, like a defective recording playing non-stop the same frequency of lack. Murphy referred to this pattern as vibrational transmission. He found that every family possesses a vibrational pattern connected to financial resources, an energy that is transmitted through conduct, subconscious convictions and reactions of the heart regarding financial obstacles. This inherited vibration acts like a hidden code, determining not only how much money a person can accumulate, but also their essential bond with fortune. Murphy understood that many of the financial blocks that he detected did not come from ineptitude or unfavorable destiny, but merely in the received pattern that a person absorbed from birth. This understanding fundamentally altered the manner in which Murphy treated financial transformation. Preferring not to transmit uniquely ways to obtain income or investment systems, Murphy focused on a more essential aspect, reformulating the vibrational pattern about money that someone absorbed from their family legacy. Murphy narrated surprising experiences of people who were capable of breaking this ancestral pattern by means of specific methods of psychological remodeling. One of these examples detailed an entrepreneur named Roberto, whose lineage traversed a systematic pattern of financial failure that prolonged itself for generations. His male ancestor had lost everything in a catastrophic speculation. His progenitor had endured bankrupt companies, and Roberto, even though working obsessively, saw himself recreating the exact same self-destructive cycle. Whenever he managed to accumulate an expressive sum of money, an occurrence occurred in an inexplicable way, and he saw everything vanish. It appeared that there was an unknown force blocking his rational attempts. Murphy mentored Roberto for consecutive periods, sharing with him a central teaching that would be central in all his work. The unconscious does not discriminate between wealth you achieved and capital your family believes is appropriate. If in your essence resides the frequency that wealth is threatening, that evolving economically is dangerous, that financial tranquility is deceptive or a hoax, then your subconscious mind will work tirelessly to keep you within this vibration, because it appears to be the genuine reality. The deep mind does not question. It just fulfills the instructions that were implanted in your being through experiential heritage. Roberto ultimately understood that he was not lazy or incapable. He was molded, and programmings can be deconditioned. Murphy clarified that when you modify the preponderant frequency in your mind, you change the programming that you communicate to your hidden psyche. It equates to restoring a machine that was operating with outdated software, which is defective. If the program finds itself adjusted to receive solely a determined sum of wealth, then that will be precisely what you will receive, without depending on how much you strive. Murphy showed this principle through intensive visualization practices that he had instituted over years. He advised his clients to consecrate 5 to 10 minutes each morning, if possible, at the moment of waking, when the psyche is situated in an alpha state of openness, visualizing not merely the entry of capital in their lives, but essentially the internal living of confidence, true faith and dignity that comes along with this arrival. Murphy emphasized decidedly that this sensation signified the authentic key. It was not the wealth alone that mattered for the metamorphosis. It constituted the energy that the person formed in connection with money. With Roberto, Murphy started a process that he named Ancestral Vibrational Transmutation, a method that he had developed through various proven cases. Roberto had to, during 2 months, dedicate 15 minutes every night before sleep in deep meditation. In this sacred space, Roberto should recognize with full consciousness the total economic journey of his group of origin. He should visualize his close ancestor facing the financial catastrophe, his parent fighting unsuccessful initiatives, and all these beings who came before, who came previously, taking like patterns. Then, mentally, Roberto should utter with real feeling, "I recognize the story of you all. I deeply respect the pain you carried. I value the trajectory you tread and the difficulties you faced. Yet at this moment, in this sacred space, I let go of this vibration of restriction from my consciousness. I institute a new resonance for my ancestors. Henceforth, in my living, movement of wealth, opulence, and financial certainty are the dominant patterns that governs my choices and my life. Murphy observed meticulously that when Roberto did this with genuine sincerity, with true emotional feeling that involved his whole being, something extraordinary began to happen in the external world. Roberto's financial situations began to reorganize subtly, but surely. An opportunity that Roberto would have previously rejected out of fear or mistrust came to be seen under a new illuminated perspective. An old client returned with a substantial project. An unexpected scholarship for his daughter appeared at the exact moment when her education was a financial concern. None of this was coincidence, Murphy explained with conviction. It was simply the natural and inevitable consequence of an altered vibration. When you change your internal vibration, the entire universe needs to reorganize itself to correspond to this new frequency you have established. People, opportunities, resources, everything begins to align differently in your life. Murphy formulated a teaching that he called Law of Vibrational Correspondence, an axiom that he had verified in multiple cases. This axiom states simply that the external reality always reflects perfectly to the dominant psyche. If in your psyche prevails with intense fear of scarcity, then the external circumstances will show continuously moments that reinforce this fear and ratify your restrictive belief. If in your psyche prevails genuine security in your inherent prosperity, then the external world will present perspectives that strengthen and cultivate this tranquility. The most innovative element of this truth is that it performs apart from your present condition or your antecedents. An individual totally indebted who reorients their predominant frequency to plenty will commence in a few weeks to identify subtle alterations that are observable. These changes are always subtle at the beginning, but are indicators of a genuine transmutation. An unforeseen cost is bypassed because you opt to reject making an impulsive purchase. An opportunity arises because you remained in better mental state to interact with someone important. Your complete self starts to resonate in a new pattern. Murphy had a special interest in the family aspect of this transformation because he had observed an extraordinary phenomenon repeatedly. When a person changes their vibration and manages to maintain this change for a sufficient period, the entire family dynamic begins to reorganize deeply. Children who were struggling financially begin to prosper unexpectedly. Parents who faced chronic difficulties find new solutions and paths. It is as if this person, by raising their own vibration, pulled the entire lineage to a new vibrational level. Murphy explained this as a principle of family resonance. When a musical instrument begins to vibrate at a specific frequency, all other nearby instruments naturally begin to vibrate at the same frequency, even without physical contact. Likewise, when you establish a vibration of prosperity within you, all those energetically linked to you naturally begin to enter into resonance with this elevated frequency you created. To create this vibrational change that was permanent and deep, Murphy formulated a process organized in 3 steps that he considered completely indispensable for the victory. The first phase is the process Murphy referred to conscious ancestral recognition, and he reiterated that it was impossible to move forward without ending truly this initial phase. In this phase, you must spend time truly welcoming the entire financial path of your family. This does not imply inculpating your predecessors or rebuffing them with negative energy. It means just viewing with total transparency what they experienced, the deep wounds that they experienced, the formattings that they developed as a survival mechanism in difficult times. Murphy perceived that many individuals strive to avoid seeing this uncomfortable history, try to act as if it was not real, and this blocked permanently the genuine change. It is truly impossible to free oneself from what you reject consciously to admit. Murphy instructed his apprentices to initiate this simple exercise, which is revolutionary. At dusk, if possible before sleeping, when consciousness stays more open, sit in silence, in deep silence. Inhale and exhale with depth for some moments, and mentally think deeply on your forefathers. Evoke mentally the images of your predecessors. Recognize the adversities that they faced. Say internally with sincerity something like, "I recognize that you, my grandfather, faced devastating losses that generated intense fear in your being. I accept that you, the one who begot me, developed preservation tools that were transmitted forward through generations." Murphy explained that this recognition is deeply healing on a spiritual and psychological level. By recognizing the story, you take this story out of the unconscious, where it operates silently controlling your actions, and bring it to the full light of consciousness. In this clear light, it loses the power to control you automatically. It ceases to be something that controls you like a puppet, and becomes something you see with absolute clarity, and can choose to transform. Murphy used to say with emphasis that nothing that remains unconscious can be truly transformed. Everything that is brought to consciousness can be worked on, can be dissolved, can be rewritten in a completely different way. This first stage should be practiced for at least 2 weeks every day with genuine emotion and complete attention. The second stage of Murphy's method is what he called declared vibrational disconnection, and he was absolutely clear about its critical importance. In this stage, after consciously recognizing the ancestral story, you must declare with authority that this vibration of limitation will no longer be the dominant force of your life. Murphy was not in favor of a vague or intellectual approach in this stage. He demanded genuine emotion, clear intention, and deep commitment, not just to the words, but to real transformation. After recognition, still in your moment of silence at night, Murphy instructed his clients to place their hand over their heart and say with unshakable emotional firmness, "I completely release the vibration of scarcity that was inherited through generations. I unlink my conscious mind from every pattern of financial limitation that belonged to my ancestors. I allow my soul to be the genuine and true origin of my prosperity and abundance. From this moment, the dominant vibration I establish and maintain is that of conscious abundance, genuine confidence, and unlimited flow." Murphy instructed that this confession works, for it forms a new power in your essence. You do not find yourself rejecting your family or your past. You find yourself just expressing your legitimate right as a knowing entity who is self-determined to choose a new frequency. Murphy had identified multiple cases validated where this proclamation, when executed with sincere and genuine emotion, produced a vibrational rupture so intense and transforming that observable transformations started in days following. He kept noted examples where people shared vivid dreams and extraordinary ones immediately after the confession. Dreams during which those who came before seemed to validate this alteration with discreet consent and energetic approval. Although Murphy was a methodical researcher who was thorough in his general method, he understood that there were phenomena that went beyond purely material logic and analytical logic. The third stage is the one Murphy considered absolutely the heart and soul of the entire vibrational transformation. He called it continuous vibrational re-establishment, and it was in this stage that the real work of rewriting your financial reality happened. In this stage, you not only dissolve the old problematic vibration, but actively establish a new vibration that becomes your dominant pattern. Murphy was extremely specific and precise about how to do this to achieve real results. After the declaration of disconnection, still in their deep and receptive meditative state, Murphy instructed his clients to visualize a field of golden, luminous, and living energy completely enveloping their heart, radiating to their entire body. This field is not vague or abstract. It is real, intensely felt in the body, palpable like a transforming physical presence. Murphy frequently asked his clients to describe in precise detail how this golden field felt in their physical body. Some described gentle and comforting heat. Others described deep and enveloping safety. Still others described an extraordinary sensation of expansion and freedom. While he sustained this sharp image and lived, Murphy directed with determination, "Say on the mental plane with absolute conviction, my preponderant frequency now reveals itself as awakened abundance. My physical shell resonates completely with economic confidence. My subconscious mind is completely reprogrammed to welcome abundantly, to deserve fully and to sustain indefinitely fullness. My aura establishes itself harmonized perfectly with opportunity, unlimited flow, and infinite elevation. The limitation that was inherited extinguished itself entirely, definitively. The opulence that constitutes my original divine heritage firms itself in this moment as the permanent situation of my existence. Murphy reiterated categorically that these declarations must be enunciated not superficially out of habit or lightly, but with true deep feeling, with honesty that emanates from the being, as if you found yourself declaring the most vital affirmation and primordial of your entire existence. Murphy observed that this third stage is exactly where most people faced significant difficulties in the process. They managed to do the first two stages with some success, but in the third stage, the rational mind began to doubt and question. How can I say I am prosperous if I have significant debts? How can I say my vibration is abundance if my bank account tells another story of limitation? How can I declare what only my current reality denies? Murphy had a clear and transformative answer for this. He explained that the rational mind does not govern true reality. Vibration governs reality. The rational mind is merely a tool that describes retroactively what vibration has already created. If you want to change what the rational mind describes, you must first change the vibration at the root. Murphy used a potent and transformative metaphor. He said that vibration is like the root of a tree, and visible financial results are like the branches, leaves, and flowers. If you only look at the visible branches and try to change the tree by pruning the branches, you will never achieve real or lasting change. But if you change the fundamental root, the whole tree changes inevitably. Murphy oriented that this last stage be realized constantly day after day, without interruptions for a minimum of 40 days in a row. He had chosen the duration of 40 days because he had identified in multiple cases that it was justly the necessary duration for a new vibration to establish itself completely as the prevailing pattern in the deep field of the hidden psyche. The first 14 days concern establishment and fixation of the new frequency. The new vibrational pattern still presents itself as tenuous and provisional. It still competes vigorously with the primitive molds that seek to remain. Between days 15 and 28, something fundamentally changes and unties itself. The new vibration starts gradually to gain genuine potency, to live more legitimate and authentic, more fundamental to your deep being. During days 29 until 40, the new vibrational pattern finally establishes itself as the prevailing pattern that governs your reactions. Following 40 days of consistent practice and authentic practice, Murphy identified that his patients reported an emotional change so deep that it was apparent even to those outside. The anxiety that immobilizes regarding money reduced considerably until vanishing completely. The shame of prospering and receiving disappeared completely. A confidence which was restful, transforming and unbreakable in the economic destiny started to arise fluidly from your essence. Murphy had a particular and very effective method to help his clients maintain absolute consistency during these critical 40 days. He recommended they keep a simple and honest journal. Each night, after completing the full ritual of the 3 stages, they should briefly note what they felt and observed, not for heavy intellectual analysis, but simply to deepen the experience and root it. Murphy observed that when people recorded their experience in words, the practice became more concrete, more real, more irrefutable. He also recommended that during these 40 days of transformation, people be particularly attentive to the small signs of change that appeared. A small but significant opportunity that arose unexpectedly. An unexpected expense that was providentially avoided. A casual conversation with someone that led to an interesting and unexpected possibility. Murphy taught that vibrational change does not typically begin with spectacular and dramatic results. It begins, always, with small synchronicities indicating that vibration is genuinely changing at the deepest level. Murphy underlined an essential component that so many neglected totally in their fulfillment. Throughout these 40 days of disciplined execution, the practical attitudes likewise keep fundamental importance. The resonance establishes the necessary foundation, but you still lack to develop the valor to proceed. If an opportunity surges in your path, You necessitate to possess the valor to explore it authentically. If a conception surges regarding how to raise your earnings or to expand your revenue flows, you require to find yourself prepared to implement it with conviction. Murphy referred to this as aligned action, and it showed itself fundamentally vital. It is the movement that emerges organically after your frequency has transformed to plenty. This action configures itself as fundamentally diverse from the desperate act based in dread. It is action that is resolute, sharp, spontaneous, and exact. Murphy observed that when his disciples sustained the correct vibration and acted constantly in alignment with this frequency, the opportunities flowered in manners that before had the appearance of absolutely impossible or close to miracle. The trajectory that Murphy offered was fundamentally a journey of genuine emancipation and transforming. It did not constitute evasion from true obstacles. It constituted facing the factual truth that you remained molded by inherited vibrational pattern and choosing consciously and with conviction to modify this vibration totally. It constituted understanding that you shelter extraordinary power not merely to modify your own existence, but to transform the entire path and coming destiny of all your lineage. This knowledge is real power in its purest expression, not the potency just to subjugate or to triumph over enemies. However, the true power to transcend, to modify vibration, to go beyond old ties. This teaching, Murphy instructed with absolute certainty, represents the real liberation which is material and divine that every conscious creature seeks.